when your slides look like this.
Alright, so first off, we're going to start with gathering our equipment. Most important thing is your acetone. This is the Home Depot stuff, not your nail varnish remover from Target. That's not going to do it. So we've got acetone, we've got a small jug, we're going to pour some in. A couple of clean rags. We have our safety gloves. This acetone will really dehydrate your skin. It is a bit of an irritant, so we're going to use gloves. This is a clean Swiffer pad, completely clean, straight out the wash. And we have our regular slide oil. And this is to put oil back on the slide once we clean it totally off. Okay, so we're going to clean off our drop slide, the hybrid, the drop. First thing first, you have to block this slide off. You can't have people going down while you're trying to clean it. So we do have some temporary fencing up there. This slide is totally closed at the moment. So that's blocked off. Otherwise we'd have a staff member up there. And then down at the bottom, we also have the airbag turned off. Even though our slide is closed, we would normally have the airbag totally on, just in case. But for the purposes of this video, for the noise that the blower makes, we have our blower turned off to make it a little easier to do the videos. Alright, so we've got our gloves on. We're going to put some acetone into this little jug here just to make it easier. This is obviously really heavy and you don't want to be going up and down the ladder and pouring it straight out of the bottle here. So I'm going to go with maybe about 8 ounces in this little cup for our slide. Key point though, if your slide is really, really slow and you have to do a lot of cleaning, you're obviously going to need more acetone for that particular slide. So if you're really, really slow, you're obviously going to take a little longer and put more acetone on. We're going to probably use about 8 ounces on this one. So be very careful when you're pouring it. You definitely don't want to splash it. You definitely don't want it in your eyes. Try to avoid getting it on any of your skin at all. Alright, so we're going to try with that. We're going to take the clean Swiffer and a couple of rags, and then we're going to go up to the top of the ladder. Okay, so here's our slide. This is our hybrid drop slide. And you can see the oil. You can feel it. You can see I'm even making marks in it. I don't know if you can see that quite on the camera, but you definitely see there's plenty of oil on there. And in this case, there's probably a little bit too much. So we're going to clean it off. I'm just going to put a rag down so I don't get the acetone kind of everywhere. I wouldn't normally be doing this from within the slide, from actually being standing in the slide. I'd use a ladder maybe next to it. But our slides are quite high off the ground, so we have to get a little creative, but always being as safe as you can. So I've got my acetone, got my Swiffer. I'm going to pour this on here and be quite generous with it. You can't really overdo this. It's just going to evaporate pretty quickly, and then you should see pretty much right away it's just going to start coming off just like that. Okay, so just keep scrubbing a little bit. It really comes off very, very easily. Just scrub it all the way. Really don't be afraid to use the acetone because it's going to evaporate. And depending on how dirty your slide is, you might need a lot of it. But you can't overdo it. You can always just get it up with a rag and just wipe it up. So something else to remember, the acetone can smell quite strongly. So you probably don't want to get super, super close. But the smell dissipates when it dries. For this example here, we still have a little bit of residue, so I'm just going to wipe it kind of dry. And then if we get a little closer, we can probably tell we're now squeaky clean. And this is all the way back down to the painted surface, ready to put a bit more oil on top. Okay, so we've completely washed off our slide. You see our ladder and our acetone. We've inflated the airbag here. We're now going to test it as a best practice. So we're going to see how it behaves with a good slide mat. We found a good one because you always have to go to the worst, the worst case scenario. We found a good slide mat. We're going to test it now. It's stripped all the way back to its surface before we apply the oil, because there's a chance that just maybe this is okay without it right now. So Camden's going to go down the slide. We're going to wave him down. We'll see where he comes to. So for that right there, we see where he is. We got the end of our fence here, which is padded, but we were quite a ways along the airbag. So at this time, I don't think I would really want to apply any oil to that slide because we're going to reduce our margin for error. So we're going to leave it right there at this time. So another little trick we can do, we can take that same slide mat and just see how it goes. It really should slide very, very smoothly on this surface, even when it's super clean and just stripped back to the paint. So if you push your slide mat up, watch it. It didn't really go far, but it slid super easy. So it's gonna go off. Imagine that person on top with a little bit of weight, just like we saw with Camden. It's gonna go flying off the end. So this is really good right now, but we are gonna go across to our launch slide and do just a little bit of oil, just to show you how we might start building it back up after we cleaned it all the way back. Okay, so we're over here at the world's biggest launch slides. We're gonna put a bit of oil on this. We're gonna be really careful first of all, so I hope you can see this pretty well. Super light, not gonna really squeeze the bottle much. Really, really light. You might not even really be able to see that. But we're gonna build it up bit by bit, so we're not gonna put too much on in the beginning. This next part's kind of important. You don't wanna just put this on and start pushing it right in, because you're gonna get a really thick spot right in the middle. So nice and easy, nice and light. Start at any point. Just start going backwards and forwards. Try and work it in. If you look closely, you can definitely see where the oil is and where we haven't done yet. So I can see by looking at it, I definitely started over here somewhere. I can feel it. I can even see when I run my hands across it, I can see that I leave marks in the slide where I'm pulling it up. So we're just gonna keep working it, try and get it all the way to the edges, get it as far up onto the main part of the slide as we can. When you're doing this, if you don't apply too much pressure and almost just let the Swiffer glide across your slide surface, at any point where it kind of sticks, that's where you've got a thick point in the oil. So you want to just brush it out, work it out to the sides and spread out a lot more. It needs to be nice and even. And this really should just kind of glide across. And if it gets stuck anywhere like that, probably just go side to side, get it up on the edges a bit more. And then really, if you take a look at it, try and get the light. So like, try and get on the different angles. You shouldn't really be able to see too much of a glaze on the surface. I see little bits down in here. Right in there. But for the most part, if you spread it out evenly enough, it's gonna kind of dull down a little bit, and that's what we're looking for. Okay, small side note here, if you have dust on the edges of your slides like this, we're gonna wipe it off. This dust absolutely slows down your slides. The oil catches the dust, you're gonna slow down, so you gotta keep your dust up. And then also, Camden, if you're able to get a little closer, you can sometimes get dust collecting right in between your joints in here. So you can get this stuff out as best you can, because that's going to slow you down too. Make sure that dust comes out of the slide. Okay, so like always, we're going to test it first before we let our guests and our customers go down. Now, something that happens quite a lot here is the first time you do this, that first person maybe won't go as far or as fast as you expect. So you got to watch 3 or 4 people go down, and it will kind of even itself out. If you miss some of those thick spots in the oil, after 3 or 4 people, it is going to level out, and you're going to notice that performance probably increases over the first 2, 3, 4 people. So here's Camden. He's going to go down right now, and we're going to test our slide mat and our brand new oiled slide. Slick City number 1.